Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Crafty Yellow Camper. And today I've got a really quick and easy card for you, and it's using the really lovely Delicate Whispers papers. This is the one I've chosen to use today. That's the back. The front sides of them, I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up, are foiled. There's lots and lots of lovely designs. They're an online exclusive with Stampin' Up. You can see that one's got foiling on it. I'm not going to go through the entire pack because you can look on the Stampin' Up website. So basically, really nice, quick, easy card to put together if you need a quick card for someone. So I've got a piece of crumb cake for my base. It's just a half of an A4 sheet, so this is 21 by 14.8, and we're going to use it in a landscape. Well, we could actually, I've done a landscape, we could do a portrait. Not sure that'll work as well. We'll see. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is, you can see on here, I've stamped randomly. So I'm using the Delicate Whispers stamps. So this is the new packaging to make it easier to store. So this is how they come on an acetate sheet inside. So I have picked this stamp to do my stamping over, and I'm using crumb cake because that's the colour of the card base that I've got. So I'm just going to bring, so I'm just literally going to stamp randomly around the edge. You obviously don't really need to stamp in the middle because that's where our designer series paper is going to go. Obviously you can stamp off the edge. I'm just trying to make sure that I've got the corners covered. As I said, you don't really, oh, that didn't go very well, did it? You don't really need to stamp. I'm sorry if I went off camera there. You don't really need to stamp in the middle. Okay, so now we've got our, I'm just going to close that up because I know I'm going to get ink everywhere if I don't. Now we have got our base stamped. We are going to cut our piece of designer series paper, and if you've got a piece of paper that's got a directional flow to it, obviously make sure you get it up the right way. And I think for this one we might actually, so this one was a landscape. I think we might actually go portrait on this one. I'm going to bring in my trimmer and I'm going to cut down, I'm going to cut the paper at 1/2 inch each strip. So I probably should have said this is a 4x3 piece of DSP, and I don't normally use inches, but I have this time because the papers are 12 by 12, so it just makes it easier to work out cutting it up. And then, as I said, I'm then cutting these at 1/2 inch increments in centimetres. It's this point this and this point this, and it just makes life difficult. Okay, so I've cut with the 3 inch side uppermost. Okay, now really good tip here is try and keep your pieces in order as you take them off the trimmer, because we want the patterns to match. I'm not letting you look too closely at my landscape card because then you might notice I've got a piece upside down. So it's very much a do as I say, not as I do. There we go. So they are all of our 6 pieces, because we've cut across the 3 inch side and they are 4 inches long. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some dimensionals onto the back of 3 of these, and I'm going to use the mini dimensionals because they're a really good size. So we'll have that one raised. I'm just going to go along. I mean, you probably could get a full-size dimensional on the back if you really wanted to, but you would be juggling. See, I've done that already. Look, I've turned it the wrong way up. Just make sure they're the right way up. So every other piece, I am putting 3 dimensionals on the back. Some people like to put lots and lots of dimensionals on. I'm a bit tight with mine. So because this is an even number of strips, we'll start with a raised one and finish with a flat one. So you could, if you wanted to, cut this a little bit, a little bit bigger, so you ended up on a raised one as well. But I don't really think it makes too much difference, to be fair. I'm just bringing in my little pot I collect my backs in. Now, somebody messaged me on one of my YouTube videos asking me what I did with all the backs I collected off my dimensionals. I don't actually do anything with them. I do throw them away. But the reason I collect them in my little jar is because otherwise I find the things everywhere. Now, we really want to try and be sort of equidistant from the other side. So I am eyeballing this, but you might like to measure it and put a small pencil line, which you can cover up as you stick them on. Right, and then the next one we're going in with just a strip of Tombow down the back. Oops, a daisy. Okay, and again, make sure you are lining them up. So this isn't necessarily about leaving huge gaps between them. It's more about creating an up and a down for, I think people have been calling it a shadow effect. But it's something I've seen a lot. So again, make sure you've got it the right way up before you stick it down. And if you have got a small gap, try and make sure those gaps match. So that's 3 of our pieces. So we've got 1 up, 1 down, 1 up. So we're now going with 1 down. And again, making sure that I've got it up the right way, and I'm lining them up down the bottom. Now, I'm left-hander, so things tend to go on askew a little bit if I'm not careful. So again, you could draw yourself a line along the top or bottom to line them up to make sure they're level, and then make sure you cover it as you stick them on. I'm a firm believer in that a homemade card, if it's not exactly perfect, is not the end of the world. But some people can't cope with life like that. They have to have everything extremely perfect and lined up. Right, okay. So see, I've turned that one upside down again. So always offer it up to make sure it's the right way up. Okay, so those are our strips. Now I can see they are slightly going up that way, but it's because I'm trying to do it on camera. So the other thing you could do is stick these onto a square of white that you then cover up the white, or another square of crumb cake. Yeah, that really isn't very well in line, but there are ways of covering it up. So just give me 2 seconds. I just need to get a piece of basic white. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm always short of get well soon cards, and one of the greetings that I really like in this set is this one here. Hope you feel your best soon, because you never know when people are going to be ill, do you? They don't broadcast that they're going to be poorly. So I think the best way is to make sure that you always have some cards. Okay, so I'm going to use this punch, which is an old one, and unfortunately I've never thought to name my punches. That is something that I could really do with doing going forward, but it just happens to be the right size to take that greeting. So I am going to punch out my shape, and that, as I said, I have no idea what it's called. quite probably retired by now, but use what you've got. Okay, I'm going to stamp that in Mossy Meadow. Some people like to stamp before they cut. I say then do that. Do whichever suits you best. Okay. And because this is a photo polymer set, I should really have stuck a stamp mat underneath that, but it didn't seem to matter too much. Okay, so that's our greeting. And then I'm going to come in with my crumb cake again. And there's this cute little flower with a couple of leaves and a sort of a bit of ferny stuff on it. This is a good way of using up all your scraps. So I'm stamping that. Oh, sorry, you can't see. I've stamped that in crumb cake. We often end up with these little bits and pieces like this, don't we? And they're ideal for greetings. Okay, now ordinarily I would colour this in the right colours to match the paper, but I haven't actually ordered the new inks yet, and this has got some of the new colours in it. So this is the new Hydrangea Hue, and what other colour is there new? Crumb Cake Grey Granite. Oh no, it's just that one that's new. Crumb Cake, Grey Granite, Hydrangea Hue, which is one of our new in colours, Mossy Meadow, Secret Sea, and Bronze, which I guess they're calling the goldy coloured bits. So I don't have the right colours, but I had a rifle through my watercolour pencil drawer, and we are going with Old Olive for the leaves. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's not exactly the right colours, so long as they're on the same sort of colour spectrum. So we're going, and please don't worry that my colouring is very untidy, which it is, but you'll see how I get around that in a minute. Okay, so we've got some Old Olive in there. Then I'm coming in with some Balmy Blue, which is a long retired colour. One of the colours I really liked. Oh no, it is still current. Sorry, ignore me. It is still a current colour. I've been a demonstrator for 14 years, I think now, so colours come and go, and sometimes they get reintroduced and sometimes they disappear for good, and then maybe they sometimes come back, as has happened with our new in colours. One of them is, I've got the ink pad, why can't I see it? Oh, yes I can. Crisp Cantaloupe is a returning colour. I think it was an in colour quite a few years ago and it retired, but it's come back this time. So that's our Balmy Blue. And then I've got a Night of Navy watercolour pencil, which I'm just going to do the middle with. Okay, so that's our watercolour pencils. And then what I'm going to do is bring in my Wink of Stella. And I'm just going to blend the watercolour pencils with my Wink of Stella. Now, because Wink of Stella is alcohol based, it will blend the watercolour pencils quite nicely without the need for an aqua painter, which would make the cardstock too wet. And it'll give us that little bit of shimmer as well. And you can see it will make those harsh pencil lines disappear. There we go. Right, and there is a die for that. Normally I make sure I've die cut everything before I start filming, but I'm sure you won't mind. These are the dies that coordinate with the stamps. Some of them are surround dies to cut out the stamped images, and others are standalone dies. And this is the little die that goes with that image I've just coloured. So if you'll just excuse me for a minute, I'm just going to take that over to my cut and emboss machine. Line it up and run it through. a lot of demonstrators I know use the small machine so they can use it at their desk, but I always find, I think it's maybe because my desk is not very solid. I work from a bureau, so it skids about all over the show, so I feel happier with my big one. Right, so we've got our Hope You Feel Better Soon, which is going to go... where am I going to put it? Hope You Feel Your Best Soon can go up there. So let's put some dimensionals on the back, and we're going for full-size dimensionals this time. And then I'll put some on the back of our flower. I'm only going to put one on there for now because I'm not quite sure where that's going to go, and putting two on might not work, particularly if it's laying over the top of a raised section. So I think we're going to go in there with that one. And then this is our little flower. And I think we're going to go... I don't really want to cover the text up. Yeah, we're going to go in with it like that. So these are the two. And obviously I'll put a white, basic white inside in for people to write on. So here's our two cards. So this one is our landscape card. And this one is our portrait card. Nice and quick and easy if you need a card in a hurry. Hope you enjoy that. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all again soon. Happy stamping.